Hello, beautiful souls, infinite love. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to watch a little bit something from my channel. And today I'm going to be talking about starseeds. And this video is actually going to be 1 in 3 of a series about starseeds. Now, starseeds actually come with the basis of knowledge that ETs are not only real, but our family from the stars. And if that brings up a little bit of fear or a little bit of uneasiness, don't worry, that's perfectly fine. I can even feel within me and myself when I experience some of these things. I could feel the fear coming up within me too, so don't worry about it. It's perfectly natural and normal for things of that nature to come up. This video is going to be specifically on starseeds and their traits. So let's get into it, shall we? Let me first preface it by saying a lot of these traits can be thought of as kind of symptoms, as in before a starseed reawakens into the remembrance of who they are, we can have these kind of symptoms, like something like a homesickness, where we kind of feel it in a more negatively oriented way. And once somebody does awaken into the remembrance of who they are, these symptoms, something like homesick, doesn't have to be so negatively oriented. Get me off of this rock! More like, I love this is my home, I'm here to do a freaking badass starseed job, and really take these ideas, higher dimensional type of ideas, and ground them to earth. So, number 1, starseeds tend to be homesick. So, really, a starseed can be in their physical home, here in physical reality, and feel homesick. Deep down, they long for a place that they don't consciously realize what they are longing for, and it's this homesickness. Starseeds are usually these beings, these souls that have ascended through higher dimensionalities, higher levels of consciousness, and since ascending through those higher levels of consciousness, they chose to come back to Earth during this very transformative time. You see, everything is transforming, everything is so changing right now. And so they chose to come back during these times to help raise the planetary vibration, the level of consciousness of which we operate at, stuff like this. So since starseeds have ascended through those higher levels of consciousness, they come back into this third dimensional, very dense reality, and they don't realize that on a very deep level they feel that. So this is where that's coming from. That homesick vibe is a very deep knowing inside of yourself. And I'll also say, as a side note to this, if you're here on Earth right now, it's because you chose to, and it's because you chose to come in to help raise the planetary vibration, raise the level of consciousness that we currently operate at to a higher level, to the next level of knowing. So if you're here, it's because you came to take these higher dimensional ideas and ways of living, ways of being, ways of interrelating with each other, ways of interrelating with Earth, with Mother Earth. All of these higher vibrational ideas, you came to root them down into Earth and to help these ideas grow, take root and grow. And this video is an example of me doing just that, taking those higher vibrational ideas and information and grounding them and rooting them into a physical form of this video that you're watching right now. And that's me doing just that. So number 2, Number 2 actually correlates with number 1. It kind of coincides with number 1. And number 2 is starseeds don't feel like they're from planet Earth. And this is the number, this is the number that I have found varying degrees of truth within. Because I found that a lot of people think that they're not from here, or they've been told that they're not from Earth, they're from another star system, or they feel that, you know, they're from somewhere else. And I get that, because a lot of starseeds don't fit in here with the earthlings that tend to be here, and they, you know, whereas other people tend to really fit in. We don't fit in with the societal norms. So this is where I found that there are varying degrees of truth, and you have to keep in mind that all truths are true. You know, at one time you believed that Santa was real, and that was really true for you, right? And now you have a broader perspective, a deeper knowing, and you know that it's not exactly real. It's more like the spirit of Christmas. So you know that this kind of gives you a feel of how all truths are true, and how all truths can be valid and true for the people that experience them. So what I'd like to say is there are varying degrees of truth, that some people think that there are from another planet, and while certainly there are those types of cases, I'm sure of it, because there are already hybrid beings living here on Earth. Hello. So while there are certainly other cases where that might be true, what I'm finding and what I found in my own research was that what is more closer to the truth is, get this, simultaneous parallel realities. What? And we're actually, as energetic beings, we're making these cross connections to energetic connections to other consciousnesses in other realities and other dimensions. I get that this might seem a little far-fetched, or it might be hard to wrap our little human minds around, but you have to understand, we don't really truly fully understand this world just yet, and actually scientists are on the brink of discovering this. If you take a little bit of a look into science, you'll find that they are already having these types of theories of simultaneous parallel realities. So we might feel as a starseed that we're from Sirius or we're from Orion, but what's really going on here more accurately is we are making these cross connections, these energetic connections with those who actually we might think of as a past life or a future life, or even our partner on in a different dimension, in a different realm. In my opinion, it's way more cooler than being from a different system, because this shows us that we're making connections to our galactic family. And with practice, we can actually make these connections conscious. It's like any other muscle that you build. If you go and you're doing a fitness regimen of any kind, you have to work the muscle to be able to make it stronger, to make it bigger, faster, whatever. And the same thing lies here. It's just about making those conscious connections and then making them in a conscious way. Again, I get that this can sound impossible to some, but it more accurately describes what's really happening. Really take some time to think about it. We don't fully know what's going on here, and I think it's way cooler. Number 3, starseeds have a deep sense of purpose. Starseeds come into this life not really knowing, but they know on a deep level that they came here to do something big with their lives. And if you're like me, it's not until you wake up into the remembrance that you are a starseed, that you are a starseed, that you are an indigo, that you are a light worker. It's not until you wake up into the remembrance of who you are that you realize, oh, okay, I get what the big thing I came here to do was. Starseeds are here to help build a new paradigm. And if you're a starseed, you're here to help build a new world. You don't fit into starseeds don't fit into this world because they came to help build a new one. Number 4, most starseeds are more spiritually based rather than religious. And again, I believe it's because as a starseed, we've ascended through higher dimensions of consciousness, just higher dimensions, and where all of that which kind of comes with religion, that can come with religion, not necessarily does, but can, which is the religious dogma or the control or the fear-based stuff, we've kind of ascended through those higher dimensions where that kind of drops off, and where we actually realize on a deep level, not a conscious level, but on a really deep level, that these religious dogmas that can lie within religions just don't really suit us. And so a starseed is going to be more apt to go down a more spiritual path and want to have their own spiritual connection with the earth, with animals, they want to have their own spiritual experience rather than live by somebody else's spiritual experience. Number 5, starseeds tend to be sensitive, and by sensitive I mean clairvoyant, clairaudient, clairsentient. These kind of clairs is what they call them. Starseeds tend to have these other kind of abilities or gifts, and to me they're kind of almost like breadcrumbs in the way that when we begin to awaken, or maybe we haven't awakened yet, and we're sitting there, we realize we have really good intuition, or we have something like we can feel people's energies, empathy. And it's kind of like, I kind of almost think of it as a breadcrumb to, like, you're a sensitive soul, and you came in to do a certain job, and it's this sensitive quality that's kind of the breadcrumb for us to wake up into the remembrance of who we are. We're starseeds. No wonder we're sensitive. And I like to kind of think that it's also because we've ascended through those higher levels of consciousness, that we come back in already sensitized, because our soul's already kind of sensitized to these types of developing these types of natural gifts that we can all possess. Number 6, your physical body feels weird and or cumbersome to you. So again, I feel it's because that we have ascended through those, as a starseed, we've ascended through those higher levels of dimensions, consciousness, where things become a lot lighter, they become less dense, and so we ourselves become less dense, and we start to become and embody more light within our beings, to the point where we actually become less physical, quasi-physical, and then we come back, we incarnate into these really dense bodies, and we're like, what the fuck is this? We don't know, what is this? So I believe that starseeds find it a little hard sometimes to really deal with this really physical body that they find themselves in. Number 7, starseeds tend to be loners. And while we are all completely unique in our own beautiful ways, starseeds tend to be those almost outcasts that society calls us, this outcasts of the world. And we tend to be very, very different. We don't go by societal norms. We don't even understand them. Like I said, if you're just now realizing that you're a starseed, you'll realize and understand why you never fit in, and why you never even understood any of the societal norm kind of BS, as I like to call it. Starseeds tend to be loners. This is another one of those traits where I believe we can actually have some transmutation, some alchemization of the energy, whereas at first we can become loners, but as we begin to awaken into the remembrance of who we are, we then start to look for those types of people, look for other starseeds, look for other light workers, look for other indigos. But just by law of attraction, we start calling in our tribe to us by raising our vibration, raising our consciousness to the next level. So I believe this is one of those traits of a starseed that can actually be shifted into something way more positive. Number 8, starseeds have this urge to break free from physical reality and its restrictions. So this is another one that I believe that we can shift as we awaken into the remembrance of who we are, and also kind of raise our own level of consciousness and vibration. And this, again, I believe it's because we've ascended to these higher levels of dimensions, higher levels of consciousness, that we realize that on a deep level, there's something not quite right here, although Earth is perfect just as it is, and everything is just evolving just as it naturally should. But with that being said, I believe that, it's because we've ascended through those higher levels of consciousness. On a deep level, we have this deep knowing that something, we can transcend these restrictions. Like, we can't necessarily fly. I can't just pick up and fly, but we feel like these things can be possible. These things are possible, and it's very, very possible. These things are not only possible, they're quite real. It's just where we are as a collective in our collective evolution. As we start evolving more and more, and we rise to the next level of consciousness, things will not only be possible, but they'll be more commonplace than they are now. Like I said before, I believe this is another one that can be shifted, because as a starseed, somebody who has taken from somebody who has been through a lot of depression in her life up until she awakened, me, I just longed to get the hell off of this rock. But when I really started awakening into the remembrance of who I was and as I'm putting into practical application by doing these videos like this, putting into practical application these starseed traits, then I find myself having this renewed sense of, yeah, I did come down here to frickin' be a galactic badass and root into Earth these higher dimensional ideas that people think are frickin' crazy. I came here to do that, and that's what you came here to do too. So it's with our own perceptions and our own perspective that we can, waking up into the remembrance of who we are, we can actually shift these from being negative and get me off of this rock to, hey, I like it here. I'm gonna freaking do the best galactic badassery job I can do. And last but not least, number 9. Most starseeds have had some kind of ET experience or ET encounter or a remembrance. Or even if they haven't had any one of those, somewhere on a deep level, they know that amongst billions and trillions of galaxies, and trillions and trillions and trillions of stars and galaxies within those galaxies, and how space goes on for infinite amounts of infinity, it would not only be arrogant, but it would be ignorant to think that we are the only intelligent life out here. And so basically, starseeds have either had these encounters, or they have some kind of knowing that there is more out there. And there is more out there. There is more out there for us. And as a starseed, it's time to wake up into the remembrance. It's time to wake up into the remembrance of who you are, and really start to root your energy, your galactic energies that you came to express here on Earth, to Earth. And it's time to really wake up, and not only just wake up into the remembrance of who you are. I believe it's also important that we put these kind of ideas, like a starseed, lightworker, indigo, etc., we put them into practical application in our practical lives, because it's really easy for us to get lost back in society with the societal norms and keep on with the way that society already is. As a starseed, we came to help build a new future and bridge that gap from the way things are now to the way things can be. And So I believe it's really, really important for us to put these types of ideas into practical application, not just use them to make us feel special and to make us feel above other people. So that is my list of Starseed traits. I hope you enjoyed. If you're a Starseed, you came to be a freaking galactic badass. Get to it. So thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate it. Infinite love and light to you guys all. Peace.